Do you now accept there is no agenda?
Absolutely
from
no,
talkSPORT
never. I ain't ever agreeing with you lot. You can take me to the ground.
Anyone else? Anyone else?
No, I don't. Listen, I think that AJ, for what AJ has achieved, for his resume, we talk about this all day. The fact is, we live in a world of clickbait. We live in a world of views, hits, arguments, whatever. And, you know, and Simon, who I always actually acknowledge does a fantastic job in terms of creating headlines, having arguments, creating conversation. It's what you're there to do. So you're there to probe, ask questions, wind people up, whatever you do. You're like a glorified IFL these days, you lot. Do you know what I mean? I think you're doing a great job for boxing.
I doubt that. You're talking about professional outfit now.
Oh, Paul
talkSPORT.
Coogan.
I reckon this week people got a bit touchy, not for the first time. It happens in other sports, Eddie, but it's a touch of paranoia, and we've come to expect it. There ain't no agenda.
I don't know. I think the response I've had this week has been unbelievable. It's actually the first week I've had support from the boxing world in a long, long time. It's had a bit of a nice feeling. Don't worry, next week will be very different. But
well,
I will say
because
that
boxing itself is doing a good job of shooting itself in the foot.
No, I disagree. I think that, you know, ultimately boxing, we know from research, we know from the broadcasters, digitally in that space, and you guys know that's why you're here. You know, if boxing didn't create noise, if boxing didn't create headlines, if boxing didn't create numbers, you think talkSPORT would traipse all the way over to West London to go live from a weigh-in?
Listen,
you'd be talking all day, all week.
And through the history of the sport, through the history of the sport, I'm saying this has always been the way. This is no different right now.
It's a sport of opinions.
Absolutely.
It's always been and it always will be.
And also it's a sport of ego, and it's a sport of, you know, standing
Drama
by your
and
word,
theatre.
and also we're never going to agree. You know, Simon's never going to agree on it. I'm never going to agree with you on it, Jim. AJ's never going to agree with you. It doesn't matter. I just want to see him win on Saturday night. I feel very... The problem with me is I see, and I think Spencer we don't always agree with the stuff Spencer says and vice versa. When you know AJ and you know what he's given to the sport, how much he wants to win, how much he has consistently given everybody their time, it's difficult when people see him get criticised. And Spencer's the same. And that's why Spencer always, I'll joke, he's like our last line of defence at talkSPORT.
But it's important.
Well, I understand his journey, AJ, where he's come from, where he's got to, and what he's achieved in that time as well.
But also the resume.
The resume's insane.
And it's like, people talk about Tyson Fury as this generational great. And I hate going on about it because I know he's got a lot of support. But when you break down the resume, he actually hasn't really beaten anyone outside of those two wins.
I'm with you.
It's always been a Faustian pact between the media and a particular sport, and in this particular environment what you've got is an asset that you guys are protecting, and it seems to me that asset in Anthony Joshua isn't able to have critical observation, because if it's critical observation, and you're included in this conversation as well, because if someone criticises you it becomes an agenda. The temperature and tone of conversations are based upon personalities. You and I will have a different temperature of a conversation because of our personalities or the way we interact, and maybe I'll have a conversation with Shalom or Frank Warren. But if people are held to the same account, maybe the language is more robust in the conversation because maybe people rub one another up in the conversation. But your observations and your clever manipulation of the conversation this week have brought out a victim culture.
Let me finish. But there you go again.
Let me finish.
There's no clever manipulation. You got wrong. You were wrong. You got found out.
Let me finish.
And if you look at the response of the entire listeners from that show,
and
you made a mistake. You didn't come ready, and you paid the price.
And the qualification for that mistake was, my observation of you was that you were very prompt. Now, I had assumed by the text message I got from Robert Smith that it was Friday. I had Joe on here a minute ago saying he got the message on Friday evening. So the dynamic of it is a bit muddy.
Now is we're going backwards to try and protect what happened.
We're not.
Yes, we are. There's no point talking about your mistakes on air. We're here to talk about the Joshua Hellenius way.
We're talking about the nature of the relationship between a broadcaster and you, and your fighter. And what we're saying, as a very valued broadcaster that takes boxing into a space on Thursdays with an audience of 1.5 million, making a mainstream crossover, which is very useful to you. And obviously, as a disc jockey, I've been making very good playlists like, Suspicious Minds and
there's nothing. I rate
Would I
you
Lie
as one
to You
of the
and
top
whatever
disc
else.
jockeys out there.
Fantastic.
I really do.
One of the highest paid ones as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you. There we go. But the point is that this idea of a positioning, nobody whatsoever, the same criticisms, the same judgment calls of Tyson Fury, of Frank Warren, of Ben Shalom, and you are put in a bracket. The only difference is the subject matter that I was taking you to task on is far more important than some of the other subject matter. Drug tests being failed, people being able to get out of drug tests on the basis of strict liability not being adhered to are very important, Eddie.
We'll go on to the Joshua Hellenius fight. we come in a year and a half on, we're still arguing about the same thing.
No, but it's current now, isn't it?
No, well, not really, because we go back to...
No, but it's current now, isn't it?
Well, not really, because we go back to an issue that happened a long time ago. With many things
but
we
it's
learn...
current now, isn't it?
No,
because you're saying someone's been cleared. That's why it's current. No. But the Helenius-Joshua fight, and the reason why we're talking about that is because we brought up a conversation earlier this week and you wanted to bring it up again, and I'm correcting it. The Helenius-Joshua fight is something we're quite happy to talk about. We're clearing up something that you want to advance.
Yeah, but ultimately...
So there was an agenda against
look,
Anthony.
when you talk about an agenda, you're talking about you come back from holiday and you're phoning or contacting, and I know other people you contact as well, but you're contacting Robert Smith to try and find out information to prepare yourself to attack me on the show on Tuesday. Why would you contact the General Secretary of the British Boxing Board of Control? Because I pointed it out to you the other day. You're a journalist. I'm not a journalist. I'm not the media. So what are you doing trying to contact someone to go at me?
Shall I answer your question?
Yeah, because you've got an agenda.
Because I'm an interested party.
You're not. You don't like me. You want to stitch me up. You want to try and get one over on me. And it's going to be great for radio. It's okay.
Shall I tell you?
You come off second best that time. You're very good. You'll come again.
That's what we mean about agendas.
Shall I tell you what I think?
You just said there, we don't like... Of course we do.
Jim, on what planet do you live in where one of your representatives has me on the show and all they're trying to do is build a case and go to war on Tuesday?
No, they're trying to hold you to account.
You're texting. What is the General Secretary of the British Boxing Board of Control having a conversation with you for?
Shall I tell you why?
Yeah.
Because the subject matter is very important. The sport is very valuable. My value of the sport is very high, and I like to make myself availed of information. So I asked Robert, when did you cancel this fight?
Can you imagine the chairman of the FA having a conversation on a Sunday with someone who clearly...
Well, depends if you know that. If you know what you're talking about.
Not if they're representing themselves and their jurisdiction and their governing body in the correct manner.
Are you suggesting seriously that you can't be held to account and I can't ask somebody a question?
You should.
Are you seriously suggesting that?
No, what I'm saying is you can ask what you want.
Thank you.
You're media. Robert Smith, when he gets a call from the media, yourself, right, and you have to admit you are the media.
I'm in the media.
Yes, right. And you phone him up and you went, Robert, or text him or whatever you did, and I'll come on to something else very important after. And you say to him, oh, mate, I've got, whatever you say, I don't know. I'm just saying how it might have gone.
Well, you seem to know what I'm saying, so why don't you tell me?
Probably saying like this. I've got that Eddie Hearn on the show on Tuesday and we want to absolutely ruin him. Tell me, when did you get the information?
Eddie,
when did you get the information?
Eddie, I wasn't coming in on Tuesday. As you may well have known, I haven't been very well.
I got invited to your show on Tuesday.
No, you got invited to our show a month ago because you guys asked to come on. Yeah, you did.
Anyway.
But the point is this.
The point is this. We're going around in circles. You've come back from holiday and you're contacting Robert Smith for information. I haven't come back from holiday. Whatever. It doesn't really matter where you come back.
A lot of us spoke to Robert Smith over the weekend.
But listen, Gareth.
A lot of us spoke to
Gareth, you've been in boxing a long time. You've been in boxing a long time. I'm not talking about your... I respect your media. You have to ask the questions.
Of course.
Right? Simon said he's not media, he's not journalist. We've now acknowledged he is.
I'm in the media.
When Robert Smith gets a phone call on an issue like this from Dillian White on a Sunday and says, I want... when did you find out? What should he be saying at that point to the media? He should be saying, I can't comment on this at the moment.
Why?
Because it's a confidential matter.
What, when he cancelled the fight?
No, he didn't cancel the fight. What are you talking about?
Eddie,
You lost again.
No, I haven't.
You lost again. You go around in these circles.
Eddie,
and actually, when you delve deep... I was in a cab yesterday.
You said the British Boxing Board of Control...
This geezer went to me, I'll tell you what, I loved you smashing Simon Jordan up on the radio the other day. I said, no, it was beautiful, wasn't it? Oh, what a day. He went, you know what I've realised with Simon Jordan? Most of the time, I just presumed that everything he said was pure fact.
But Eddie, you missed the point, mate. The point I was making on Tuesday was to commend you for cancelling the fight very quickly in conjunction with the British Boxing Board.
The other point I want to make is this.
I wasn't them.
Tell me, you never apologised to Robert Smith. Because when we come back on air and I said to Robert, you said, oh, speak to Robert Smith. He got it wrong then.
Yep.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't. I got it wrong.
You got it wrong.
Yeah, but
Robert Smith never said that, did he?
What?
Robert Smith never said he spoke to me on Friday, did he?
No, he said he spoke to you in the morning. Yeah. In the morning.
And when we on air, you went, well, I don't care. Robert Smith said it. Take it out with him. No. He never said it. You got it wrong twofold. Twofold.
Simon, I'm not entirely sure what all this achieves.
It achieves nothing.
I'm really not entirely sure what all this achieves. What you shouldn't wonder, Eddie, is why we try to gather information
and hold people to account.
But it was good you used this imaginary taxi driver to come to your aid last night.
Right,
that was good stuff.
Again,
what we are here to do is talk about AJ against Helenius.
Yes.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.